You're listening to Let's Pop, the podcast where I talk about all things pop culture. I'm your host, Iridian Fierro, and on this episode, we are going to talk about Bad Bunny making history again. Did Zendaya and Tom Holland tie the knot without anyone knowing? As well as Cardi B's tour. An iconic girl group is making their comeback with a new single and a tour as well. Hannah Montana is going to be back on our screens, and Timothée Chalamet is seeing a lot of backlash from the ballet and opera community. And if you watched the Love is Blind reunion, you know it was a hot mess. All right, guys, let's pop. It seems that a Hollywood power couple has gotten married without the public knowing. I'm talking about the iconic duo that is Tom Holland and Zendaya. Now, as far as everyone knew, Zendaya and Tom were engaged. And recently, Zendaya's stylist, La Roche, was on a red carpet and was asked about the wedding. And he says, "Oh, you guys are late. Too late. It already happened. You missed it. You missed the dress. You missed the outfit." And the interviewer was like, "What? Wait a minute, really?" And he's like, "Yep, you missed it." And everybody and their moms was talking about it on social media. People thought this was a publicity stunt because Zendaya's in a movie with Robert Pattinson where they play an engaged couple. Mind you, that movie looks like it's going to be really good too. So I'll be ready for that one. And a lot of people were like, okay, Zendaya's super smart for this because now Law went over there and said something about engagement. So everyone's going to look up Zendaya engagement and the movie, the drama is going to pop up. Well, lo and behold, it's Paris Fashion Week. And Zendaya is a model for Louis Vuitton. And Zendaya comes out in a stunning, beautiful white dress. And what do you know? A wedding band is on her finger. Mind you, it could just be a regular ring, right? And that could be that. And there's so many close-up pictures, but Zendaya was wearing a gold band and silver accessories. So do with that what you will. Do I think Tom and Zendaya are married? They could be. They could be. They are very private about their relationship, and I absolutely love that about them. We don't need to know all their business. We don't. I just love that they're both so happy with each other. They're both super successful, and he's Spider-Man for crying out loud. He's literally Spider-Man, and she's literally Zendaya. I love the both of them, so shout out to love. I guess congratulations or not. They're both together, so yes, congratulations. Let's talk about Ticketmaster. The United States government was suing the owner of Ticketmaster and asking the court to essentially break up the company's monopoly on live events. So when an artist has a show at an arena, at an amphitheater, basically at any location, you will usually buy the tickets off of Ticketmaster or Live Nation because the location has a contract with Ticketmaster or Live Nation, and the place and the venue can only sell tickets through them. And it didn't always used to be like that. You used to be able to buy tickets through other platforms, but with the rise in power of Ticketmaster, they slowly started to buy up areas. Same thing with Live Nation. They started to buy up these rights to sell those tickets for the venues. And now every show that you go to is basically bought through Live Nation or Ticketmaster, who are now working together. So the government was suing Ticketmaster in order to break up ownership over the venues. The Justice Department was essentially accusing them of running an illegal monopoly over the events in America. And Ticketmaster, because they have control of almost every venue, they can price the tickets at whatever they'd like because there's no competition. There's no other place that's allowed to sell those tickets. The lawsuit was brought with 30 state and district attorneys that wanted to dismantle the monopoly. Their argument was that they were squeezing out smaller promoters and drowning ticket buyers with fees and also hurting artists. Ticketmaster is owned by Live Nation. And we know that a lot of artists have spoken out about their pricing and how their pricing is not what reflects on Ticketmaster. So there's been a lot of issues. The government then accused Live Nation of doing things like, retaliating and threatening people. And honestly, pricing is outrageous, and fees and taxes, everything adds up, and it's so expensive for you to go to a show. Now, Live Nation has said for a long time that it has not violated any antitrust laws. They said that the lawsuit, quote, won't solve the issues fans care about relating to ticket prices, service fees, and access to in-demand shows. Now, I'm reading this from an apnews.com article that's written by Alana Durkin-Richer and Wyatt Grantham Phillips. This is from May 23rd, 2024. And this is important because now, 2 years later, we are getting information from that specific case. We are getting unsealed chat records that are tied to that lawsuit that I mentioned. A lot of fans already believed that Live Nation and Ticketmaster were playing in our faces, right? Because we knew we were getting scammed. We knew what the artist wanted the price to be. And yes, I get it. Venues need to be paid. The workers need to be paid. But these prices were outrageous. And let me read you what these employees were sending each other. So I'm reading this article from Rolling Stone by John Blistein. The title is "These People Are So Stupid. Live Nation employees boast about high fees in unsealed messages." Two regional directors of ticketing for Live Nation amphitheaters joked and bragged about robbing fans blind with sky-high parking prices. And he quotes some of the text messages. So Ben Baker was messaging Jen Weinhold, and they were both serving as regional directors for ticketing for Live Nation amphitheaters. They were talking about parking and VIP access. At one point, Baker said, "I gouged them on Ansel prices to make up for changes in the base prices for seats." In one exchange, they said, "These people are so stupid. And I have VIP parking up at $250, LOL. I almost feel bad for taking advantage of them." Followed up by all caps, "Bah ha 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 ha." Are you kidding me? This is insane. And mind you, those $250 parking spots were for a Kid Rock concert. Are people out of their mind? People are out of their minds. And I am just so sick of people playing with money. These are people who make so much money, and their hour is different than our hours, right? Depending on where you work and what your minimum wage is, what your salary is, you make a certain amount for that hour. They make more than that, absolutely. So you are essentially, let's say you go to a concert and you pay $300 for the ticket, but then there's $100 in fees, plus you're paying for taxes, and then you still have to pay for parking with the venue. That is so much money. Imagine how many hours you are working in order to go to a 3-hour event. And they are over here laughing about how high they can get prices for a grass spot, for a VIP experience. So all this information is out on social media. You guys can go and check it out. In other messages, they were talking about, quote, "I charge $50 to park on the grass, LMAO. I charge $60 for closer grass." Continuing with this article, it says, a few moments later, Baker shared a screenshot of a spreadsheet showing how Premier Parking gross average had jumped from about $470,000 in 2018 to about $666,000 in 2021. He commented, quote, "Robbing them blind, baby. That's how we do it." Weinhold replied, LOL. And Live Nation did put out a statement stating that those messages absolutely don't reflect the values of how they operate because it was a private Slack message. And then leadership learned about it, and now they're looking into the matter properly. Whatever that means. We know nothing's going to happen internally. We know these prices aren't going to go down. We know the thoughts of these people aren't going to change. And it's not just that. It's one thing to price at that amount, right? But we as consumers also have to let them know that we're not going to pay that. And as tough as that is, that means not going to the show and not participating, because the reason prices keep going up and people keep getting away with it is because people keep paying. I'm going to relate this to professional wrestling. If you know me, you know that I love professional wrestling. But over the past few years, the price of wrestling shows and attending wrestling shows and merch in general has gone through the roof, has been exponential. Prices for WrestleMania, prices for a nosebleed seat are now in the 200s, the $250 mark. That's to sit at the very, very last seat. And maybe not that. You're trying to sit front row. That's easily over $1,000 for a 2-hour show, for a 3-hour show. It's up to $10,000, $20,000 for VIP experiences and all that stuff. Why are you charging that much? What is going on? I know you're trying to keep within competitors' range, but you are pushing out your target audience. If your target audience is a family, right now, a family cannot afford to pay $700 each for a seat, plus buying merch, plus buying food, plus paying for parking. These companies have lost their damn minds. And recently, the DOJ came to a settlement, so Donald Trump pardoned Ticketmaster so they don't have to dismember. Instead, Ticketmaster will just have to pay a certain amount of money back to the state. It's said that they are going to have to pay $280 million to settle claims with the states involved. They came to this deal, but it still has to be approved by a federal judge, and now they have certain restrictions. It's said that now Ticketmaster has to allow third-party sellers like SeatGeek and Grubhub to list also through their systems. There are going to be service fees that are capped at around 15% at amphitheaters that are controlled by Live Nation, which Live Nation controls a lot of amphitheaters. The DOJ also wants Live Nation to divest from 13 amphitheaters that they have in a couple of different states. And they have new limits that restrict exclusive contracts between Ticketmasters and venues to 4 years. And artists would now be able to reserve up to 50% of tickets through sales. Does a lot of this sound good? Yes, but that doesn't solve the bigger picture of Ticketmaster still owning everything, Ticketmaster and Live Nation. Let me know what you think. If you're listening to this, head over to the YouTube version. There's going to be an audio YouTube version on there. Comment down below your thoughts, because what is going on? These prices are insane. All right, we're going to stick with the music vibe and talk about happier moments, okay? Bad Bunny is making history again. In an article in PR Newswire, it states that Benito has set a global viewership record for most watched Apple Music Super Bowl halftime show performance of all time, okay? Reaching 4.157 billion views. That is incredible. It drew 4.157 billion views in 24 hours across their global broadcast, YouTube, and social platforms. And on X alone, the halftime moment has generated over 2 billion impressions, 209 million video views, over 6 million Bad Bunny related posts, and an increase year over year over 409% from other posts during halftime show. His performance was incredible. I reacted to it on my YouTube channel. Head over there, Iridian Fierro. It was incredible. You know, after a Super Bowl performance, you usually see that the artist will receive more streams and they'll just get basically a lot of publicity afterwards. So following the halftime appearance, Bad Bunny held almost a quarter of Apple Music's daily top 100 global chart. He had 24 songs in the top 100, 9 songs in the top 25, and 6 songs in the top 10. Debí Tirar Más Fotos, the album, was in the #1 global position, and 6 of the songs from the album re-entered the chart for the first time since February of last year. People were also listening to throwbacks. Cardi B has a song called I Like It featuring J Balvin and Bad Bunny, and that song also came back and charted for the first time since January 2020. Congratulations to Bad Bunny, who, shout outs to him, just turned 32. We love to see it. All the success to Bad Bunny, who, bringing it back to professional wrestling, I'm hoping he gets in the ring soon. Now let's go back to the early 2000s when I was a little girl with a little radio that she would take everywhere and a dream, okay? A dream that I was going to be in a girl group, either the Cheetah Girls, I was going to be a Fanta girl. If you don't know what a Fanta girl is, look them up. It's like one of 4 girls who sang the theme song for the Fanta drink. It went, wanna Fanta, don't you wanna? I was like ready to be a Fanta girl. And if I wasn't going to be that, then I was definitely going to be a pussycat doll, okay? The pussycat dolls are back. All week long on social media, the girl group has been posting teaser videos and they feature some of their most iconic music video locations. And the first time I saw it, the gasp that I gasped, okay? I was shook. The Pussycat Dolls have returned before. And that time I wasn't really there for the moment, okay? I wasn't like fully invested. But this time around, I am. I'm fully invested. I'm here. And what I've seen on social media is that people are very upset because some of the original members are not returning with this current version of PCD, Pussycat Dolls. So every day on their social media, a new video was released. And basically the call to action was to have fans go to pcdforever.com. When you got there, it was a black page with the Pussycat Doll logo, and you could add your email address and choose a country. Interesting, because why would they have you choose a country if it was not going to be on tour? We were right, guys. We are getting a tour, the PCD Forever Tour, and it's going to celebrate 20 years of the Pussycat Dolls, and they're going to have special guests performing with them. Now, PCD is an iconic girl group. Like I said, I grew up loving them. Every single song that they released, I was there for. I watched their music videos on MTV when MTV still played music videos. Amazing time. And as a group, they've received 20 different awards and they've been nominated for different awards over 60 times. Their debut album was certified 4 times platinum in the US. That specific album, titled PCD, sold over 3 million copies. They had popular songs like Don't Ya featured Busta Rhymes, Wait a Minute with Timberland, Beep with will.i.am, Stick With You, I Hate This Part, Buttons. Oh my God. When I Grow Up. They just had so many songs. They're still heavy in my rotation and I love them. And I'll tell you what, all of their songs, triple platinum on my MP3 player. 10 out of 10. Pre-sale for the Pussycat Dolls begins Wednesday, March 18th at 10 a.m. local time. And you can sign up for the pre-sale through the artist signups via Ticketmaster. Yep. What did I say, guys? Ticketmaster. Okay. Sign up closes Monday, March 16th at 11, and general sale begins Friday, March 20th at 10 a.m. local time. For the Chicago show specifically, the show is going to be on June 19th at Credit Union 1 Amphitheater in Tinley Park, which is not Chicago, but whatever. And along with this announcement, they've also released a single club song. Let me go back to people not being happy with the Pussycat Dolls not all being there. When I was little, I remember certain Pussycat Dolls, okay? You had Nicole Scherzinger, who is the lead, who for one album was like all of the vocals. Even though they were presented as a girl group, Nicole Scherzinger did all of the vocals. So the other girls were kind of just there as placeholders because Nicole was the one singing and they were all on the cover, but it was just Nicole. They did the girls dirty on that one, okay? If they wanted Nicole to just be a solo artist, they should have just done that. And she did get a chance. She did get a chance to do that, okay? I was also a fan of her then. But for me, I literally only remember some Pussycat Dolls. And for me, this is my opinion. I know some of you guys are going to hate it. For me, you can mix and match the girls. I know, you're going to hate me. If Nicole wasn't in that group and you put somebody else, then I would be like, hey, that's not the Pussycat Dolls. But because Nicole is still in the group, I'm thinking, for me, that is still the Pussycat Dolls. Mind you, I never knew any of the other Pussycat Dolls. I was always just focusing on Nicole, and there was one blonde and one with the red hair, and maybe one with the brown hair. But I was never invested, like, let me learn about all these Pussycat Dolls, right? I just knew the music, and I knew Nicole. Maybe that's how it was marketed to me. But for me, Nicole's going to be there. So basically the songs are going to sound the same. For me, do I think that's right? Absolutely not. If you started off with a certain set of members, you should come back with a certain set of members. And it should be the people who were originally in the group. I totally get it. I think about this with Danity Kane. I think you started off with a certain group, a certain number. You should come back with a certain number. If not, it's not a reunion tour. And that's how I feel about Danity Kane, who was another successful girl group. I do think that they should have brought back the original members of PCD. So I completely understand why people are upset. with this case for PCD. I totally get it. And they should have brought back the original members. But I know things happen in groups. I totally understand. But they are returning as 3. So we'll see how that turns out for them. I don't know if I'll be attending, but I'm glad that they're releasing new music. I'm excited about that. Continuing with tour news, Cardi B's tour is selling out arenas. Shout outs to you, Cardi. So she's become the first female rapper to sell out 2 nights at the Kia Forum in LA. And overall, she sold out about 12 shows on her Little Miss Drama tour after giving birth literally a couple months ago. She went on Twitter to say, quote, "The fact of the matter is, so far, every single show of mine has been sold out, packed from top to bottom. They said I wasn't going to commit after I gave birth. They said I wasn't going to take it seriously, but I take it very seriously. I perform for 2 hours and don't complain. Not only do I treat my shows like concerts, I treat them like parties and have a good time with my people. That's why I get real reviews from real attendees, whether that's my fans, celebrities, or just people that want to have a good time. Thank you. Double exclamation point." Shout outs to you, Cardi. Shout outs to you. I remember when Cardi released her first song, Bodak Yellow, and I was in college. I remember I was playing that song for my college station, and I had asked a question of, will Cardi B still be like famous, or like will she take off? And I said I didn't think so. And look at that. Look at that. How crazy is that? Because I love Cardi. Cardi has proved me wrong, and I'm eating my words. I love Cardi B. I think she's one of the best female rappers we've had in a long time. Her personality is incredible. She knows how to market herself. Cardi is such an icon. I love her to death. Cardi is such an incredible woman. Truly, truly special. I don't think we've seen someone like her in a long time. And I'm glad that she has continuing to prove people wrong. Shout outs to Cardi. Last thing we're going to talk about before I rant about reality TV and Love is Blind is Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus is going to return as Hannah Montana for the first time in 15 years. And she's returning for the 20th anniversary special that's going to be on Disney Plus and premiere on March 24th. They're calling it a Hanniversary. I love a good pun. And in the trailer that they released, she's dressed as Hannah. She's got the wig on. She's got a little scarf, like the old school outfit. She's on the set with cast members, which I was shook because I saw Billy Ray Cyrus there. You know, they've got some history, so I wonder who else is going to be there. But looking at the trailer, I just got flashbacks to me watching the first episode of Hannah Montana. Like, I remember that, and it felt so special. Of course, I will be watching. Another episode that I also remember watching is the first episode of iCarly. Back then, shows just felt, I don't know, it felt so special to see trailers and advertisement for a new show that was going to come out. And then you had to be inside. You had to be on your couch in your seat, ready for that show to come on, because we didn't have a DVR back then. First of all, you had to buy a DVR. Those were expensive. And if you missed it, you missed it. And then everybody would be talking about it at school. And oh, well, we barely had internet back then. I remember I was going to the internet cafe to print things out because we didn't have a printer. It just gave me so much nostalgia. I started thinking about so many other things. So I am going to be watching this reunion. Hannah Montana first premiered in 2006, and it ran for 4 seasons until 2011. And it earned 4 Emmy nominations for an outstanding children's program. And afterwards, Miley just blew up as a pop star. She had movies. She had a clothesline. It was incredible. And she's only done more amazing things since then. She recently won a Grammy. She won her first Grammy, and she sung her hit song Flowers. 10 out of 10 performance. I love to see it. The Oscars are this weekend, and you still have time to catch up on the films. Let me give you a rundown of the nominees. Okay, so nominated for Best Picture: Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, which I don't know if you guys have heard, but Timothée Chalamet is getting ate up by the opera and ballet community. We'll come back to that. One Battle After Another, The Secret Agents, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. Okay, back to Marty Supreme. Timothy Chalamet, who is up for Best Actor, and Marty Supreme is nominated for so many things. He was doing a podcast with Matthew McConaughey, and somewhere in that interview, he talked about how opera and ballet just didn't make any money. And he's like, oh, I can't believe I said that. I guess I lost 14 cents of my fanship. Let me get you the direct quote because I can't believe he said that.
And I don't want to be working in ballet or opera or, things where it's like, hey, keep this thing alive, even though no one cares about this anymore. All respect to the ballet and opera people out there. I just lost 14 cents in viewership.
Timothy, art is dying every day. And as someone who works in radio and hears radio is dead, I've heard that since I went to college and started on my radio career. And here I am almost 10 years later, still doing radio. There's different appreciation for all types of art, right? And I get it. Like for me, ballet is not for me. Opera is not for me. But I understand why people like it. I see the talent in ballet dancers, in opera singers, in performers in general. What he could have said is, hey, that's not for me, but I get it. Instead, he literally says he doesn't want to be working in ballet and opera and things that have to be kept alive or that are struggling to be kept alive. Sir, acting is struggling to be kept alive. They are cutting funding for everything all of the time. And for him to specifically target ballet and opera singers, they went off on him, okay? They went off on him. If he was thinking that, he should have kept it to himself. And honestly, that's not very artist of him to say. As someone who is in a creative art form, he should also sympathize with other creative art forms. Mind you, the Met Opera made an Instagram post and they said, all respect to the opera and ballet people out there. And the caption for Instagram was, this one's for you. And they added Timothy Chalamet. So Timothy, I don't know if you're going to get that Oscar now. I think this has made a lot of people in the industry look at him different, especially because his mom was a ballerina. Also, his sister and his grandmother were ballerinas. That's crazy. A lot of people in the industry did come out, a lot of actors and actresses and singers. I know Doja Cat had something to say about him. And Shirley Ralph, who is an incredible actress, she also came out and said he was probably mad at his mom that day. So Timothy, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, sir. I don't think that was a good look for you. And he even acknowledged it right after he said it. He's like, I don't know why I took shots at them. Let's end the show with some talk about reality TV. I am a huge fan of Survivor. And guys, I don't have anybody to talk to Survivor about. It's a show that I started watching a couple of years ago, right after Big Brother ended, and I needed something else to watch. I also watch The Amazing Race sometimes, but I am not fully invested in Amazing Race yet. I adore the lore that comes with Survivor of people having to strategize, of seeing how people play in the middle of a jungle and have no food and then have to compete and still think strategically about how they're going to get to the end and win $1 million. I love it. I love it. And if you're a Survivor fan, hit me up because I want to talk about Survivor. You can also hit me up to talk about Love is Blind because I have a lot of thoughts about this season, okay? If you've never heard about Love is Blind, I'm just going to give you a quick breakdown before I give you my rant. So Love is Blind is a show that's on Netflix where men and women go on blind dates for about 2 weeks, and they're both in separate rooms called pods, and they can only hear each other's voices, and that's how connections are made. Sometimes the guy can request that a woman get flowers in her pod, or they can gift each other things like, personal items, whether that be like somebody's watch or like journals. They can write each other things, stuff like that. And you can only hear each other's voices. That's how connections are made. So basically you fall in love with someone that you've never seen. And they are not limited to one person. So they all meet a couple of people and they narrow it down from there. So on one day, for example, I can go and talk to, let's say, 3 or 4 men. And then I'm like, you know what? I liked the connection with guy number 1 and guy number 3. So then I would tell guy number 1 and guy number 3, like, hey, I would want to go on another date with you. Or I would tell guys 2 and 4, hey, I'm not really interested, but thanks, And that's how the conversations would go. Mind you, I never see these people. I only hear them. So I have my little journal and I'm writing things about them, things that I like, things that I don't like. And while that's happening, all the girls are staying in the same place. All the men are staying in the same place for those 2 weeks. They are living in they're living in that location divided. So the girls on one side, the guys on the other side, and they complete the 2 weeks. And at the end of that, you have to pick somebody. And once you pick somebody, the guy proposes through the wall. You still haven't seen each other. You propose. And if the girl says yes, then you move on to the next step, which is meeting each other in person. The guy is on one end of the hallway. There's a screen in front of him. The girl's on the other end of the hallway. There's a screen in front of her. And the screens open at the same time. And you witness the love of your life for the first time. And you run to each other. And the guy usually proposes. Great. Once that connection is made, Netflix then sends you on like an engagement trip to Mexico or some island with the other couples. They put you and the other couples in basically the same hotel and they send you on different excursions. So somebody might be swimming with a dolphin. The other couples might be jumping out of planes. I don't know, things like that, right? And while that engagement trip is going on, they also have like barbecues with all of the couples. So then everybody can meet each other and maybe you're engaged to someone, but you had a connection with someone else and that person who you had a connection with is now engaged to someone else and you're meeting them for the first time. Mind you, all the girls are like, oh my God, girl, it's so nice to see you. Because the girls, all hung out with each other and the guys just like, hey man, bro, what's good? I don't know, because the guys all stayed with each other, but the guys are now introducing themselves to the girls who possibly they had connections with, but now they're engaged to somebody else. It's such an interesting concept for an experiment, right? And season 1, people were very invested. It was a great season because I feel like people went on there to truly find love, to truly experiment. And after that, all the seasons have been shit. All of the seasons have been a flush of the toilet. And I feel it's because people have gone on and now seen that they can say no when they're at the altar and they can just be known on social media and be on Netflix for a little bit. So after these vacations, the couples, the 6 or 7 couples that they choose, go back to their real world and have to try to integrate to each other's lives. So they might be living in 2 different areas. And now the couple has to decide, hey, if we're getting married, we have to decide if we're going to buy our own house, if you're going to sell your house, if we're moving in with each other, what's our commute going to look like? Whose car are we taking? Are we having kids? Things like that, which if you're having kids, you should be talking about that in the pods. You shouldn't be, oh, okay, let's get engaged. Wait, do you want kids? Things like that. So after you get time to live with each other for about 2 more weeks, then the wedding happens. And by that, you've met your couple's family. You have talked about finances. You've seen how the other person lives. You've lived with each other, so you know their habits. And now you're at the altar and the lady asks you, we're going to see if love truly is blind. Do you accept this person? Do you take this person's hand? And, you have to say yes or no. And a lot of people say no, which I get it because it's tough, right? It's tough. But if love was truly blind, you would make it work. And these past seasons, you've gotten a lot of people who are really set on having a type. And then when they get in the pods, they fall in love with someone who's not their type and they love their personality. They love who they are, but they see them and they might not be attracted to them because that's not who they usually go for. And that usually affects how they view that person when it comes to being attractive. Because I watch and I'm like, oh my God, that person's attractive. Why are you not into that person, right? But it's because that person has a type. And if you have a type, you should not be going on Love is Blind because clearly for you, love is not blind. Love is very much visible. And you need that physical attraction in order to have that sexual attraction to be able to connect with their mind as well. It's a hot mess, okay? Hot ass mess. And this season took place in Ohio. So I get the dating pool was going to be conservative men, okay, of a certain ideology who want to have kids, who want to be the provider but might not have jobs, who want to be the leader of the household but don't have a house, and who want to be more physically attractive, who want their woman to be a supermodel, even though they're an infectious disease doctor and spend hours saving lives. And you know what? The women are always more attractive than the men. It always happens every single season. And this season had men who had a type and they were stuck on that. There was a guy who wanted a woman with dark features, and then he got matched up with a blonde woman who was white and had like green eyes. He slept with her. And then later he told another girl, I usually go with a girl with dark features. And, oh, I'm attracted to you. Are you kidding me? You literally slept with the woman that you matched with. And now you're telling this girl that you're attracted to her? And mind you, this guy was also hung up on a soccer career he didn't have. And there was another man who really wanted to have kids and kept pushing for this girl to also want to have kids. He's like, oh my God, but I think you'd be a great mother. And even when they were at the altar, he was still trying to convince her to have kids. Okay? If you want kids and the person you're talking to in the pods doesn't want kids, that's not the person for you. You clearly have different values and you're hung up on that. And you both need to go to therapy. And then there was a woman on there who was extremely beautiful. I thought she was the most attractive woman on the show. And she fell in love with a guy. The guy was not attracted to her. And at first she was like, hey, you know what? I want to wait till marriage for us to have those relations. And he was like, no, I can't connect with you. I can't connect with you if we don't have those relations. And he was like ignoring her and he was just not interested. And at one point she's like, okay, I'll have sex with you if that's going to make you like, be less distant towards me. And I'm like, that is insane for a woman to be like, hey, you know what? Fine, I'll have sex with you. If that means we'll start having conversations and all that stuff. If you are not interested in a woman, just don't. Like, if you saw her and she was not your type, don't be on Love is Blind. Don't be on Love is Blind. It's so many problems. Mind you, he was a black man and she is a black woman. And he said he'd only dated white women before. There's just so many things to talk about, guys. So many things to talk about. If you're not watching Love is Blind, you might need to watch Love is Blind. Because every year I say, I'm not watching it. And here I am. And I didn't even watch the weddings this time because I got spoiled. And I saw that some people weren't even together. And there was only one couple that I was truly interested in. And that couple did stay together. So shout outs to the couple. You know who you are. What a hot mess. I started the season with no expectations, no standards, not a lot of high hopes because after 10 seasons, we know what the show has become. Just people who are on there trying to clout chase and get deals, get sponsorships, become known on TikTok and Instagram and other social media. And you're not really trying to find love. You're not trying to find love, and that's what it is. The world is loveless. That's why reality TV about love sucks. And that's how I'm going to end this podcast. Let me know your thoughts. Like I said, if you're listening to the audio version, head over to YouTube, subscribe to my channel, Iridian Fierro, and you will be able to leave your comments down below and talk to other people about either music, about movies, or about reality TV. Let me know what you guys want me to talk about for next episode. And let me know what other things you guys want me to react to on my YouTube channel. So far, I have the Bruno Mars, the Romantic album reaction, which phenomenal, Bruno. Oh my goodness, 10 out of 10. And I also reacted to the music video for Risk It All and the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show reaction. So let me know what you guys want to see from me, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Let's Pop. And before I go, I also want to give a huge thank you to you guys because those videos on my channel have done so well, and you guys have all been so great at participating and sharing my videos and liking them and leaving comments. Thank you so much. It really helps my channel grow. It helps the algorithm push out my channel, and I absolutely appreciate it. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.